Well, I'm
Of
from
course,
Serbia. I was born in Serbia, but I came to Kazakhstan from New Zealand. That's where I did my PhD, and that's where I worked. I lived there for 7 years. I'm a philosopher. I actually graduated theology when I was your age, and then I went to philosophy. And after all of that, I went to New Zealand, where I finished my education. What else could I say about myself? I don't know. I like sports. I like music. I like sports a lot, man. I really like that. So I try to do sports as much as I can. I hate the weather in Nur-Sultan. It's killing me softly and coldly every year, So I miss being outside. I like being outside a lot. So yes, скучно. It's a bit difficult for me to live through the winter, but I guess it's gonna be okay.
yes, hopefully we'll see each other in person next semester.
Yeah.
And maybe you said you like music. Do you play any music?
I used to play the guitar, and actually I wanted to buy one now. For the winter, maybe I'll buy the guitar, one guitar, and just start playing again. I used to play I stopped when I started studying, but I liked playing the guitar. I really did enjoy that. My academic journey was really complicated. So I started studying theology in Belgrade, and I graduated theology in 2000. Oh my God. So I started, and then actually I started working as a teacher while I was studying. And then I graduated theology. I actually hated studying. I was really didn't want to study. And then somewhere when I started teaching, I actually started liking knowledge, enjoying learning new stuff. So, when you teach something, but you also learn lots of things. And by the end of this theology degree, I realized that I don't want to stop learning. I really liked it. So I started philosophy, and I did an MA in philosophy. I had to go to the army. That took me some time. And then I started my PhD in philosophy in Belgrade, but I didn't really like it. So after 2 years, I realized that I want to try a better PhD. And I went to New Zealand. And then I started a new PhD from the beginning. So I studied lots and lots of years, one faculty, another. It's like schools. I graduated in one school, then I went to another school. So I did 4 years in one, four in another. Then this PhD that was wasted in Belgrade, I lost 3 years there, and then I started again in New Zealand. So it was lots and lots of education. I worked for 8 years in Belgrade as a high school teacher, and then I moved to New Zealand, and I was working there as a GTA practically, and as a lecturer for a while. And then I was thinking of changing, and I was looking for some jobs in the UK, and I saw a job ad for Nazarbayev University. And I was like, wow, what could this be? I've never seen this university in the UK, and I saw it's in Kazakhstan. I was like, wow, this has to be a crazy journey. It has to be really cool. And then I was reading the ad, and the ad said, we teach talented children, and we have this special school for them and preparatory studies. And I was thinking this has to be really, really interesting. So that's how I came here. I thought that it's going to be fun and it's going to be interesting, that I'll be working with smart students. And I wasn't wrong, actually. Except the winter. The winter is freezing. But everything else, it's okay. It's more than okay. It made my life so complicated. I actually try to find lots of YouTube videos easier on students. In ethics, it was difficult to change because we have this teaching approach that's supposed to be unanimous. We're all supposed to share it. So there's 4 of us, so there can't be too many variations. I see that Donovan, one of the colleagues, he teaches standing up. So I might try that next semester. I didn't know how long I'm going to be in the office or not. So I don't know, in my other courses, in critical thinking, I went asynchronous, so I recorded some videos, but critical thinking is different. Critical thinking requires practicing, so they don't have to spend too much time with it. In ethics, I kept like the dialogue. It's not working as good as face-to-face. I used to teach knowledge and reality. There I was like combining lots of stuff, videos, dialogues with students, asynchronous stuff. Actually, the knowledge and reality students really enjoyed that course. So I think that course worked really well. I prefer live sessions, but not everything requires live sessions. You know, so you can have a short recorded lecture. I think that works fine. You know, but if we're discussing philosophy texts or we're analyzing something, then we need to have live sessions. Philosophy is it's both interesting and difficult in this context because philosophy requires conversation. Understanding philosophy, it's necessary to talk to people. You know, in the ancient times, Aristotle had these schools called peripatetic schools. They were like walking and talking. Peripateo is like to have a walk, guljat. So they were oni guljali, you know, discuss philosophy. So when they were walking, they would spend all day talking philosophy. This is really important for philosophers because you sometimes think you understand something, but you actually don't. And you need to exchange arguments with other people to see what is going on. Yeah, I'm trying to make them learn how to think outside of the box. And so what bothers me the most is that we have so many intelligent, smart students, but none of them thinks outside of the box. The main thing that I want them to learn is like not to be part of the system, not to think the same way. You know, so in Kazakhstan, uniformity is really important. It's important how you dress, it's important what kind of car you have, it's important to fit into the surrounding. Okay, that's all okay, you know. But actually what young people should strive for is to be different, is to think differently, not to think the way everybody else thinks. And this is what I'm hoping that they will get, maybe not this year, maybe next year, but that's the most important thing a young person should. That's a very, not the most important, but when it comes to learning, I think that's the most important thing, thinking outside of the box. And not being part of the, there's this saying where everybody thinks the same, not much thinking is going on. So we have lots of students with really big engines, but they're all following the same rules and they're not going in different direction. Everybody's going in the same direction, but okay. That's my opinion. It's not a bad thing. I'm just trying to change it. I think it can be better. I think that students can do much better, our students.
Yes, so you want them to be unique.
Yes, look. So in ethics, for example, when I just had like mid-semester exams, and I see what's going on. No one actually sits down. I mean, no one. Very few students sat down and thought about the question and said, okay, so what does this question want? This question wants this, and that. This is what I need to do. Here's my battle plan. Here's what Many of them just went online, Googled Peter Singer, feminine affluence and morality, found lots and lots of explanations of the argument, and then they just gave that to me in the mid-semester exam. And I can see that. That's the shortcut. That's the fastest way. But that's not the way to get an A. You know, and so that's what I'm trying. The best way to get an A in philosophy is actually to understand. The best way is to want to learn. That's the best way. I don't know, maybe you can try ghostwriting, and if we don't catch you. but I'm kidding. I'm just a bad joke. I don't know. I think that the only way and the best way is to really want to understand what is going on. Because at least for me, I can tell when a student really knows what is going on. They don't need to write lots and lots of words. When I see that they know it's really easy to see when a student really knows what is going on and when a student is repeating some stuff that they read. Important skill in philosophy is to separate. Philosophy is we're like garbage collectors. So imagine there's like a yard full of rubbish, but under the rubbish you can find some interesting stuff. And you're like, oh my God, I can't be bothered with this. I'm just gonna send philosophers. So you send philosophers into this yard, and philosophers touch everything, look at everything, and they're like, is this rubbish or this makes sense? Is this rubbish or this makes sense? And then philosophers separate rubbish from stuff that makes sense, and then they separate the stuff that's really important from the stuff that's important. So philosophers do that. So when a student is reading a paper, the student should read the paper and say, okay, so what in this paper is the most important thought? What is this person trying to say? And then find the thoughts that support this thought. And then find, less important. So they need to separate the important stuff from not important stuff. They need to know what is going on in the paper. They don't need to memorize everything. I've noticed that our students often go into too many detail. They remember everything, but they don't see what's more important, what's less important. So they spend too much time memorizing. So I'm trying to teach them how to separate the important stuff. And I think that I try to do that in the seminars from less important stuff and help them see what is going on in the paper. Does this make sense?
Yes, it absolutely does. So the main...
Yeah, sorry, continue.
So the main skill that students should have in order to pass your course is to be able to prioritize the things, the topics.
But that's understanding what's going on. So if they read the paper and they're like, okay, now I need to read this for the course, it's going to work, but it's going to be different. But if they're like, okay, let me try to see what is going on in this paper. And while they're reading every section, they should think, okay, what is going on in this section? Why is this, person writing these words? What do these words mean? Why did they write these words? What gives them the right to say something like that? Why this paragraph? What's the function of this paragraph? They put notes. I help them. I always show them my notes, how I read. This is how I read, So I separate. So see, this is the most important thing. This is green. So this is the most important. This is the second important. This is also important. And I also have white, So when I read this, I know what is going on. So this is like a map of the stuff that's going on. So this is the most important stuff. This stuff supports the most important stuff. The green stuff supports this stuff. And that's how I read. So I try to teach students to do that as well. And we have concept maps and we try to help them in their heads. We do whatever we can.
Well,
I'm justifying myself.
Yeah, thank you for your trying. So we should practice active reading. Yeah, so we have to highlight all the important things.
Yes, look, philosophy is not about memorizing stuff. Philosophy is about understanding stuff. And it's not about following rules. It's about thinking about everything. So for example, in ethics, we're not expecting students to accept our positions. We want students to think about various solutions and then choose eventually what they think is the right thing to do. Some of the readings are difficult. I don't choose the reading, so I have an effect on something, but I do think that some readings are rather difficult. It depends. Look, this semester, to be honest, I think that the students are not studying. I just think that this semester students are not studying. I have a group in which students I have 25 students and attendance is like 17 students out of 25. You know, so I can't do anything about that. I can say that it doesn't satisfy in the mid-semester mark and tell them that they really need to attend 50% of seminars or they're going to fail a course. So in this semester, I think that they're not working as hard as they should, to be honest. Now, maybe it's after, you know, we've been doing this online for a long time. I think it's incredibly difficult for students. And I try to be understanding, but, you know, I can't just ignore the quality of someone's work because I like the person or I feel sorry. So bottom line is some readings are difficult, but I don't think that they're that difficult. Especially, I try to go through the most difficult things in every reading. You know, we don't expect students to know everything. I don't. But the most basic stuff in the argument, they should be able to pick up. Honesty, desire to learn. I think that the most important quality in a student is wanting to learn for the sake of knowledge. You know, in ancient Greece, people would educate themselves because they thought that knowing more stuff makes you a better person. And I also think that when I was doing my PhD, I didn't do it so that people would call me doctor. Actually, my students call me Vlad. I tell them, call me Vlad or Vladimir. You know, I'm not a doctor. The knowledge has immense value for a person. You know, people can steal stuff from you, but no one can steal your knowledge. You know, someone can steal my identity, I don't have a house, my watch, my cell phone, my job. I can lose a job, but I can never lose knowledge. Knowledge is something that's in me. And I think that learning is an investment in yourself more than anything else, more than going to pedicure, manicure, makeup stuff. I think that this is the most obvious and best investment in yourself. And I think that's a quality every student should have, valuing knowledge for the sake of knowledge.
Well, that is a great advice.
Once you have that, everything else falls into place. You know, once you have the right attitude towards learning, you know, when I was a student, I had so many problems studying. I couldn't concentrate. I would work from home. I would turn on the TV all the time. I would cheat, you know. But once I realized how valuable everything that I learned is, I didn't need anything to motivate me. Nothing could disturb my concentration. I could study in a bus. I could study in a coffee shop full of people. You know, I wouldn't notice anything. So it's all about the attitude, honesty. But of course, honesty, if you value knowledge for the sake of knowledge, if you think that learning is an investment in yourself, then of course you'll be honest. I think that politeness is also very important for students, and respect. They are important. There are various ways in which you can get a high mark. You can study because you want a high mark, or you can study because you like knowledge. And once you like knowledge, you're going to learn. And when you learn, you're going to get a high mark. Or you can your motive can be to get a high mark, and you get a high mark, or your motive can be to learn something and make yourself a richer person. And if you really learn something, you're going to get a high mark. So I don't think that, you know, high marks, I don't think that what I'm suggesting is separate from getting a good average grade. You know, I was a much better student when I changed my approach to learning. And I was working and studying, and I had better grades than when I was just studying. Because now I wanted to learn.
So it's all about willingness to gain that knowledge.
It's what you want in life. It's what you want in life. I think that many people get by in life really well, even though when they don't love their jobs, they're doing their jobs because they're well paid or something like that. It's also fair enough. I'm not that kind of a guy. I just like to learn stuff. I find it interesting. And I don't think that studying for the sake of learning is incompatible with getting high marks for your effort.
Online or offline?
Offline.
Live Zoom sessions or recorded lectures?
Live sessions.
Critical thinking or ethics course?
I don't really know. Honestly, if I could choose, I would choose knowledge and reality. But let's say it's different. In critical thinking, I'm actually trying to teach my teaching assistants how to teach, because teaching is also something you need to learn. And I think that I'm not only paid to teach students, I'm also paid to teach people how to learn how to do their jobs, because someone taught me how to teach. So I don't have direct contact with my students in critical thinking as much as I have in ethics, but I have lots of contact with my teaching assistants. So I find critical thinking more difficult than ethics. Even though the students don't see me in critical thinking, for me, critical thinking is a source of constant worry, to be honest. I don't sleep because of critical thinking. Students probably think like Vlad does nothing. I want to be Vlad. I want to be paid and do nothing. And I don't sleep because of critical thinking. I've been reading like this week, like crazy, everything. I have like concept maps for ethics now, but I got lots of stuff about critical thinking. So it's different. It's different. My favorite course would be knowledge and reality, where I have like 30 students and I can have lots of individual time with each student. I can talk to students, I can understand them, I can help them improve. Big courses are difficult to run. I have 100 students in ethics and 100 in critical thinking. So it's difficult for me to know all of my students in ethics, for example. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it sure does. Okay, next, essay or quiz?
Essay. For philosophy, always essay.
Creative student or student strictly following the guidelines?
Creative students, always.
Yeah, sure.
Always. I hate it when they follow the guidelines. When they text me, can I have like a rubric? I want to kill them.
Well,
really,
that's good.
I swear to you.
Next, straight A student or C- genius?
C- genius doesn't exist.
Okay, thank you. And the last
If you find a C- genius, send them to me, because it's self-deception case. This is like for me. No way, C- genius. It's one, maybe Nikola Tesla, and that's it.
Okay, and the final one, a student who turns on camera or a student who is actually participating?
Yeah, a student who is actually participating. I don't care about cameras, to be honest. The only reason actually I sometimes ask them to turn on cameras is because I feel really lonely talking to myself. Plus, most of them turns off camera and then they just go somewhere. They're like there for me when they need to, but when I'm doing the attendance and then just they go somewhere. I don't really mind. I don't really, actually, maybe they think they tricked me. I don't really care. So here's what I mind here, for example, forcing students to attend. I think that students are grown people and that they should bear responsibility for their decisions. And we should force students to be responsible, not to be slaves. This is not high school. So in critical thinking, they don't have to attend. In knowledge and reality, they also don't have to attend. But that's going to affect their participation. Someone is really smart and they don't need participation, but someone needs participation. I don't like that. I don't like that many people in Kazakhstan do stuff just because they must, because there are rules about stuff, there's paperwork about everything. I'm trying to make my students leave this vicious circle of paperwork and rules and norms. You know, that's what I'm trying to do.